Now, here is an interesting story that I have stumbled upon. Quantic Dream Strike aims to save Star Wars Eclipse development. And I thought to myself, what the hell is Star Wars Eclipse? And if you are in the same boat as I am, well, let me tell you a story. So, Star Wars Eclipse is one of the most ambitious Star Wars games currently in development, and also one of the most mysterious ones. It was announced back in December 2021, and 5 years later, there is still no gameplay footage and no release date. The only thing that we have is this trailer that's running currently in the background. Anyway, unlike recent Star Wars action games, such as Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Eclipse is designed as a narrative-driven, action-adventure with multiple playable characters and branching storylines. According to the official description, every major decision can change relationships, locations, battles, and even which characters survive. It seems that the game takes place during the High Republic era, which is roughly 200 years before Luke Skywalker and the Galactic Empire. That means that the Jedi Order is at its peak, the Republic controls much of the galaxy, the Outer Rim remains dangerous and politically unstable, and new factions and species play major roles instead of the familiar Empire versus Rebels conflict. Like I said before, very little has been officially confirmed, but Quantic Dream says players can expect multiple playable protagonists, branching narrative, action-adventure gameplay, choice-driven consequences, several endings, and more traditional gameplay than previous Quantic Dream games, while still emphasizing storyline. And by the way, if you don't know about Quantic Dream, that's the studio behind Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and Beyond Two Souls. But anyway, since there has been no gameplay reveal, it's still unclear how much emphasis will be placed on combat, exploration, or RPG mechanics. So now that I've kinda painted the picture about this mysterious game, what the hell is Quantic Dream actually doing? Because again, since the reveal, there has been virtually no official updates, no gameplay has been shown, no release window has been announced, and multiple reports have described development as progressing very slowly. And now, in 2026, we have additional concerns regarding Quantic Dream. Reports indicate that Quantic Dream's parent company, NetEase, has been reassessing investments after the commercial failure of another Quantic Dream project. Although Quantic Dream has publicly stated that Star Wars Eclipse remains in development, multiple industry reports suggest the project is still years away and has faced staffing and production challenges. And if the reporting is accurate, this is a worrying sign, not just for Star Wars Eclipse, but for Quantic Dream as a studio. I mean, games get delayed all the time, especially ambitious AAA titles. That is kinda normal. What's more concerning here is a combination of several factors. Number one, the cancellation of another internal project that was apparently expected to help finance Eclipse. Number two would be reports of significant understaffing. Number three would be employees going on strike. And number four, allegations that management is asking people to work overtime despite having fewer developers. And when you think about all these things, to me that paints the picture of a studio trying to ship an extremely expensive game without having the resources needed to do it. Because if developers themselves are saying they need over 100 people just to realistically complete a project, there's a much bigger issue than missing a milestone. For starters, it seems that the financial situation might be the real problem. In other words, it was Spellcaster Chronicles that was reportedly expected to generate revenue that would help fund Eclipse. And if you know something about project management, AAA development works best when funding is stable from the start. If one project has to succeed in order to finance another project that's already in production, the studio becomes vulnerable. When that first project gets cancelled, suddenly the entire financial plan falls apart. So the strike doesn't sound like developers trying to kill the game. One developer said that the strike is not sabotage, it's an attempt to save the project. And that tells me morale has probably reached a point where employees believe the current trajectory simply isn't sustainable. Also, the Star Wars license raises the stakes. A Star Wars game isn't just another original IP. It comes with high licensing costs, expectations from fans, oversight from the IP holder, and enormous commercial expectations. I mean, me, speaking as a Star Wars fan, when I see something that has been in development for 5-6 years, and I haven't seen anything at this point, what the hell am I supposed to think about? Not to mention, I completely forgot about this game altogether because there was nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing from developers to point out what's happening. Not a single blog post, information of any kind, absolutely nothing. And obviously, everything increases pressure on everyone involved. Now, having said all of this, ironically, I'm less worried about delays than I'm about scope cuts. If management refuses to hire enough people but also refuses to dramatically reduce scope, developers often end up trying to achieve the impossible. And eventually, something has to give. Whether we are talking about features, polish, release date, or developer well-being. And none of these outcomes are ideal. So right now, I wouldn't say Star Wars Eclipse is doomed. Plenty of games have survived difficult development cycles, but this is probably the most concerning news I've heard about the project since it was announced. The combination of many factors such as cancelled funding source, reports of understaffing, overtime, labor strike, and claims that more than 100 additional developers are needed, well, that suggests the studio is facing structural problems rather than ordinary development delays. And if the reports are accurate, I think the healthiest outcome would actually be a major delay combined with additional investment and a realistic reassessment of the game's scope. I mean, easier said than done, right? But that's a far better path than pushing ahead with an overstretched team and hoping passion alone can compensate for a lack of resources. And don't forget, history has shown that strategy rarely ends well for either the developers or the players. And that's basically my take on this news. Thanks very much for watching, and as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And that's it from me, until the next one.